Right, guys. So, just to continue the information or discussion about or thoughts about Sicily. Now, could it be a Plan B destination? Like if you were going to leave the UK altogether and relocate, um, could it be a winter destination? Which is what I would kind of think about, because I think it'll be too hot there anyway for some people, especially me in the summer. Apparently, it gets very very hot. If you look at the average temperatures historically, it's hot in the summer. So, but if you had plenty of money and plenty of air conditioning, but like for me, that's not really the answer. Um, I'd, I'd rather have have a fire in the winter than air conditioning in the summer, if you know what I mean. Because you can still go out in the winter anywhere, like here, especially if the sun's out, But I can't go out in the summer if it's like 34 plus without being extremely uncomfortable and drained, whatever else. So could it be a Plan B destination? Absolutely, absolutely. Is it affordable? It's not as cheap. The the kind of underlying things like insurance and internet costs and things like that, which are very cheap in Bulgaria, and property tax. And just looking on Numbeo, if you punch in a few towns in Sicily and even in the south of Italy, which is the cheapest part of Italy. Like up north, it's different. It's like the south and north of UK in reverse. So, would it be a viable destination? Absolutely, especially for the winter. If you want a winter escape, I mean, it was never on my radar before, and like Malta was, and Malta's only like 100 miles away from Sicily or wherever it is. Tunisia's only just over 100 miles away, the northern coast of Tunisia. So you've got all them places as well around of interest as well. So you're looking at say if you were a snowbird, which that's what they call it in the US of A, when the people chase the weather that they like. It doesn't have to be hot weather. They can chase cooler weather. Some people do that, like and be temperate all the year round, which is that's what I'd do. But I don't mind the winters here. But if I was looking for a warmer destination, that would be the place now for me. I was looking at like Mauritius, maybe Vietnam, but there's huge distances involved, costs. But Sicily's an hour and a half away from Bulgaria on the plane, and if you want to drive there, I've been looking into that, which would be my preference. It's easy. You could just got to get from where I am to through Greece. There's no border now. It's all Schengen. Just drive straight into Greece, straight through, and you get the ferry at Igoumenitsa. You can go via Albania, but there's more borders and checks involved that way. It's slightly, only 50, 60 kilometres difference, but there's non-EU borders all involved. But, you could go. There's no problem with that, like in itself. But like, it's just one border, which is now borderless, through down into Greece. Igoumenitsa, that's opposite for people who don't know. That's opposite Corfu. And if you did want a car there, there's a couple. And I watched them yesterday. They're Americans. And what they did was very smart people. They went all around the Balkans, actually. And Americans have got to generally hop around because of visas. And they can stay in Albania longer. And I think Romania are doing the same now. Longer stay visas for Americans. So what they did is they bought a car and registered it in Bulgaria and formed a company, which is you can't own a car if you're non-EU citizen. I've got residency, so I can own a car, so that's no problem. But that's what they did, and with that, you get the green card, so they can go anywhere in Europe, except Kosovo, where you just pay at the gate. You pay as you go, insurance, and it's not much. If you're just transiting through, and actually that's the way you go if you're going to Albania. So there's all these things involved, and the ferry. You go to the mainland, hop across to the mainland, Brindisi. Anyway, this is in my case because I'm going for me. But like, just if you wanted a plan B, and you wanted a car in Sicily, even for a long period of time, you'd have to go back to Bulgaria once a year to get the MOT and the insurance. Obviously, you can do that without the car being there, but yeah, and it's only you can do it in a day, 2 days, so you just have a stopover, not a problem, and it's all motorway straight down from Sofia, straight down to Igoumenitsa now. It's all motorway, all the way through, except for one. Well, I think there's one little gorge. In fact, there is non-motorway in Bulgaria, but it's still a decent road, but it's just not a motorway. So yeah, fast road, shall we say, all the way down to Igoumenitsa, and the motorway in Greece now is fantastic, straight the way down, all the way, and I did it years ago through all the mountains, through Mount Olympus and all that, and it was arduous, it was hard going, but I even did that once in a day, which wasn't advisable. I did from here to Igoumenitsa in a day. It took me about 14 hours. It'd take 8 hours now, according to the Google Maps, so it's half, almost. And the ferries, but the same, from Durrës in Albania to Bari, Igoumenitsa to Brindisi. They're both about the same, 8 hours, 9 hours, and both about the same cost. And the car with one passenger is 120 to 130 euros one way. So that's, you'd have to sort out transport anyway in Sicily. Now you could go there, you'd have your green card, you'd have everything, and you could actually buy a car in Bulgaria and register it. And if you like road trips, you could just buy a car and then leave it somewhere. Find someone to leave it with, which a lot of people used to do here when they were just like at holiday homes. They'd have a neighbour, like, just keep it there and let the music, because a car standing it's not good for the cars if they're just stood for most of the time. Anyway, so that's a plan B. That'd be ideal for someone who's like looking at Bulgaria and they don't like the winters, and they've got, like, you'd have to have a little bit of money to do this. But you could snowbird either to Sicily or you can actually go to the south of Greece, which doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. Greece, really. I think it's a pretty miserable place. That's just my opinion. And Turkey doesn't blow my skirt up really. But Sicily, I mean, having been there now, it would be a plan B place. And if ever the shit hit the fan here, it would be a proper plan B place we could actually go and set up there. Or at least there, and maybe I was looking at Bosnia, Herzegovina, but it will depend on all the political stuff. Or Serbia, any of those places, and North Macedonia. But you never know; they might end up in the EU. So if it's the EU that goes, the shit hits the fan in Bulgaria, you might end up in the same position in North Macedonia, but it's highly unlikely in Serbia. So that would be one place also to look at. Anyway, so could you set up in Sicily? Now, if you look at the prices, like there's two things I would say for a snowbird, a winter destination. There's loads of apartments available for short lets in the winter, off season, because some places are quite clearly deserted in the winter or very quiet, and some places aren't. I mean, like, the big cities, they're just the same probably. But the places where we went, there were some places which were designated tourism, and in them places you can get apartments for €250 a month. So you could go there if you wanted to escape a winter somewhere. You go for 3 months, and if you wanted a car, I mean, you could do that definitely from Bulgaria, or you could drive down from UK. It'd take you 3 days to get there, but that's 3 days out of 3 months, and 3 days back. And if you treat that as a holiday as well, as sightseeing, or go on slower, like make it 3-4 days. I used to do that at the end of my trips up and down. Usually I just used to go A to B. Do not pass go, do not stop, do not go to jail. Straight down to Bulgaria as fast as I could. But then after a while, when I was bringing the caravans down, I used to just meander down. And you can stay anywhere you want in Europe, in motorway services especially, free overnight with your caravan, and you've got everything there. You've even got phone charging points and showers, everything. And there's no charge to stay there. There are places in Germany which are called Autohof, which you do pay, so you get a bit more there. There's actually some entertainment there as well, if you're into that kind of thing. But I just generally used to stay on motorway services, and if you get the right ones, they're off the motorway kind of thing. They're away from the main drag, a bit quieter. Can be quite noisy by a motorway. Anyway, that's more information. So could you go to Sicily and live there full time if you like the heat on a mild winter? That's a place to look at, definitely. And I would say it'd be better than Spain. But I can't say too much about Spain because I'm biased, because I don't like Spain. But Sicily is fantastic. I went through all the like the good things about it. Now there are a few like little scuzzy, sketchy areas. I wouldn't say like they're like dangerous, but you wouldn't want to be hanging about there, really. Catania, there's a few little places there, and we kind of went through Palermo, and there was just a few like little streets in there, which are full of I don't know where they're from, but like people who weren't Sicilian, and it's only, but that's on the whole island, just a couple of streets here and there, and none of the smaller villages and towns seem to have any of those problems, They probably deter people from going there somehow. Who knows? But so could you go there? Well, if you look at there's a website called I've just got it up here actually. Idealista Italia. Idealista. But if you just search property, it'll come up, property in Sicily, and then you can see what's available. And if you want somewhere which is not spectacular, you're looking at like 50 grand euros. I've just been looking at a place there, and including a garage. It's got no land or anything, but like if you were going to do half and half or something like that, I would say you don't really. Sometimes you don't want land. It's up to the individual. What they're looking for, but as long as you got parking, that's a big thing in Sicily. Parking, you'd need to, if you're a driver, that is. If you could go and set up there with a scooter, but that would mean like if there's like a couple, you'd have to have, either go passenger, like a pillion passenger, or on a scooter everywhere, and it depends what you want. But I could easily go there and get around on a scooter, easy. If you get a big enough engine on a scooter, and you don't go out in silly weather like pissing down rain. But they do have rain there, but like you wouldn't be going out on a scooter in there. And then you'd look for somewhere where you need probably a decent size supermarket, which most little, even the villages, they have a decent one. Pretty much it's quite well serviced, and public transport's good, so you could have a look at that as well. Where you're going to set up if you did go there, say permanently, and you didn't want to drive. You could do that in a larger town, and just go use public transport, or a city. There's like 3-4 cities there, or very large towns. You got Palermo, Messina, which is I found that was the best city, kind of to get mellow-ish, not too frantic and not too packed, and wacky races, and or Catania, which we didn't actually see much of it, although that's where we landed, but and that looked a bit. Well, we went down the port road and down the front, and it was a bit grubby, really, and which I expected actually. That's what it would be like, Catania. And from what I've seen on the other vids, but there was some very nice mountain towns. There was a place called Troina, which is quite big, and it's up on a mountain, and it was lovely round there, really, and it was spotless. And looked very well organised. These some places you just get, not just particularly in Italy or Bulgaria, but you just get the odd towns which are just well run, and the people are all on board. You can tell well run towns, Like there's a few here, and town's not bad here. But, does look a bit grubby in places, um, but it's well run. Our area is very well run round here, and it's improving all the time, actually. Instead of going downhill like the UK, and so to be improving in this day and age, and some of the places in Romania, you go to them and you're like, this is, and the gleaming, the very well run places like Cluj, Napoca is absolutely well run. You can tell. And a few other towns, like say in Bulgaria, say Petrich, I'd say that was, outstanding. As in it's ran very well by the look of it. It's quite well looked after, shall we say. And there's loads of places like that in the Balkans. A place called Bitola in North Macedonia. Beautiful place, absolutely fantastic. And the people there, they obviously really like living there. And it's well kept, and the area around it, the nature and the mountains is absolutely outstanding. And you're only 50 kilometres, 60 kilometres away from Lake Ohrid, and then there's places in Albania. Went to a town called Korcha, which was absolutely the same, tidy, well run. And you can go to other places which are a bit more like, rough and ready, sketchy, and in Albania. But like Korcha, that stuck out in my travels, and Bitola. It's one of my favourite cities. It's like a big town, really, but it's like a compact city. Fantastic place. And the surrounding areas, drop dead. You're in pristine mountains within 20 minutes. Anyway, so back to Sicily. So as a winter destination, absolutely, or as full-time escape, plan B from the UK, absolutely. If you don't like the cold, and you're looking for some heat and some beaches, and and it's got mountains, got everything. And if you like volcanoes, knock yourself out. You can go and live on the volcano. Lots of people live on the volcano, which to me is slightly. It could be quite risky, especially if it's an active volcano. So, and you can see the old. It's not erupting now, but it does erupt from time to time, and all you'd have to get is a big blow, and that's it. And they're building houses on it, and they're quite high up on the volcano as well. So they must know. They may know something that we don't, or they might like a daily adrenaline rush, like waking up every day on a volcano. Who knows what goes through people's minds? But like, it's not the kind of place I'd kind of live. And you can see the lava flows. These huge black. Obviously, they're all cooled down now, but the lava, and it goes across the road, and you can see where they've chopped through the lava flow. And so I would say it must be quite recent. I don't know when the last time there was a big eruption. I don't think it was recent, but like this lava comes right the way down to the bottom of the volcano, and that could happen any time. People, I said to we were on the coast, but we were at the foot of the volcano on the first 3 nights, and I said to the lady who was renting the apartment, I said, "Is there a warning? Do you have a big alarm when it goes?" She just started laughing. She said, "Oh no, that won't happen." And I was thinking, how do you know? Do you reckon the one in Naples is about to blow? Not there's Vesuvius. There's another one, which it's not like a cone. It's like it's like flat land and that. Do you reckon that's about to blow any time? But they'd have to move 3 million people. You reckon to be safe? So they just like take it as it goes. And they said they've got a plan in place. I'd like to see that happen if it does erupt. Everyone evacuating on buses, 3 million people. Yeah, I'd like to see that plan come into action. But yeah, I mean, Sicily. Wow, what a discovery! And it only came about really because someone mentioned that there was cheap flights to Catania from Sofia, and I just went from there, and it was never on the radar before. I don't know why. I mean, I've been to northern Italy and gone through it, and it was a bit manic for me around Milan, around there, especially the motorways, wacky races. It's absolutely manic. People rant and rave about Venice, and it's worth seeing in that. But like, that's like a destination, or anything like that, where you could go and stay or live, or it's quite dilapidated. I think it's sinking into the sea. But it wouldn't be on my list, northern Italy. But now I've seen what Sicily's got to offer. Absolutely. And I would only look at it as really as a winter getaway. Not even a long stay type of thing. Although I could easily spend 4 weeks there, easy, maybe more. Just chilling out, as long as I had good internet. That's another thing you got to look at when you go into these places, because a lot of my world is centered around the internet and being online, and the other is being frugal and having good supermarkets around and other produce, And we have a lot of natural produce here of the raw milk and stuff like that, raw cheese, all sorts of stuff. A lot of tomatoes and stuff we can get. And I grow stuff in the back, not much, mainly herbs. And if I feel I was growing potatoes, but like for the amount you get and the cost of them, I don't really. I mean, it seems a lot of work to get a few pounds of potatoes, Although you know where they've come from and you've grown them. Now beans are easy. I grow beans and I'll plant them this year. Last year, disaster. We had a very, very early, very, very hot spell, and it demolished all the beans, and they never recovered really. I'll plant them later this season, because you can get 2 or 3 harvests of beans. So if you plant them later, you're going to miss any early hot spells, which makes them bolt. They call it bolting. When the soil gets too hot too quickly, they go into bolting. Anyway, I don't know that much about it, but it was a disaster, and I usually get loads and loads of beans, tons. The year before, absolutely I couldn't fit them in the freezer. Okay, cheers.